Welcome to HH28, where we unravel the secrets of self-discovery and matchmaking. We are Hugh and Heather,
two master holistic guides dedicated to helping you navigate the worlds of numerology, astrology, and personality in pursuit of meaningful connections.
All right, so buckle up, listeners. Today we are diving deep into the world of Virgos. We're going on a special mission today, just for you. So should we just jump right in? Let's decode this thing.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, compatibility. The chart highlights Taurus, Capricorn, and Cancer as like the top matches for Virgo, basically the astrological dream team. But I got to ask, what's the reasoning here? Why these signs,
It's interesting, right? Because each match really speaks to a different side of Virgos. Like take Taurus and Virgo earth signs, both of them. So there's this instant connection, this like foundation. And it goes beyond just wanting stability, which they both do. It's more about building a life together based on shared values, really getting each other.
Yeah, no drama. They want that solid ground, whether it's love, friendship, even work. I feel like I'd trust them with a business plan. You know what I mean?
Totally. Now, Capricorn, that's your power couple, for sure. Yeah. Ambitious, both of them, in a way that just works.
I was going to say, what makes them click on that level, work-wise or romantically even?
It's mutual respect, honestly. Virgos work hard, we know that. But Capricorns, they get it. They admire that dedication because they're the same way. So it's less competition, more like cheering each other on.
Right. And like that cheerleader actually understand what you're doing, so their support means something.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Cancer. It's a wild card, right? The chart mentioned nurturing, something about that balancing Virgo out.
That's where it gets interesting. Cancers bring the feels, big time. Deeply emotional, intuitive. And Virgos, with their analytical minds, they don't always tap into that side. So Cancer allows for that, creates this safe space to be vulnerable.
So instead of like, you need to be more emotional, it's, I see your emotions even if you don't show them. Which, let's be real, some signs could learn from, am I right?
Definitely. But no compatibility talk is complete without the flip side. Who might clash with our dear Virgos, according to this chart?
Hit us with the astrological hard truths.
Okay, so maybe not shocking, but fire and earth. Not always a match made in heaven. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, those are your potentially trickier pairings for Virgo. Emphasis on potentially. No relationship is doomed from the get-go.
Right. Got to put in the effort. But I am curious why these signs specifically, like what's the clash point?
It's about different approaches to life, Think about Sagittarius, freedom, spontaneity, always on the move. Virgos thrive on stability, routine, carefully made plans.
Oh yeah, that's like, let's book a last-minute flight versus I need my itinerary 6 months in advance. Recipe for disaster, maybe?
Could be. That independent Sagittarius vibe can make Virgo question their commitment, while Virgo wanting reassurance just feels stifling to a free spirit.
So different love languages, different ways of feeling secure. It's like they're not even speaking the same, like, emotional language. Okay, That's Sag. What about Aries and Leo? What makes them a potential challenge?
Aries are impulsive. Act first, think later. Virgos, they like to think things through, weigh their options, so that clash of styles. Imagine the arguments. And then there's Leo, the attention seekers. Now, it comes from a good place. They're generous, warm, but Virgos need their space, their quiet time. Too much Leo energy, it's draining.
It's like even giving love takes energy, and Virgos have a limit. Giving and receiving, got to find that balance, which honestly everyone should, right?
Absolutely. But speaking of balance, there's Gemini and Aquarius. Chart calls them, it's complicated, potential is there, but so are the challenges. What's the deal with those?
Looks like the cosmic tightrope walk, right? So what makes them walk that line? Give us the astrological tea.
Gemini first. Quick-witted, always changing, tons of interests. They can definitely keep a Virgo on their toes intellectually, but that unpredictability, overwhelming sometimes.
He's giving fun friend, flaky texter. You love him, but maybe not relationship material.
Right. Then there's Aquarius, the independent souls, both of them. Recipe for amazing partnership, totally. But also recipe for disaster if they're not careful.
Okay, so how does that usually go wrong? What's the pitfall for a Virgo-Aquarius match?
So Virgos, independent as they are, they still want that deep connection, But Aquarians, freedom is their jam. So Virgo can feel a lack of closeness while Aquarius feels smothered.
Talk about a tough spot. So it's about figuring out how to be we without losing the me.
Exactly. Open communication is key here. Needs, boundaries, all of it got to be out in the open.
Honesty is the best policy. We've covered a lot of ground on the relationship front. But what about Virgos on their own? Like, what's it actually like to be a Virgo? Let's get to this other document you've got, the one about the Virgo psyche. First thing that jumps out is the virgin symbol, right? Like
Just purity.
striving for perfection. Talk about high standards. How does that actually play out in a Virgo's personality?
It's true. Those qualities are often linked to Virgos. This document gets into the why, though. They are meticulous, analytical, always trying to improve, and not just one area of work, relationships, everything. It's like this inner drive, to refine and perfect.
So we're talking like the ultimate organizers, planners, to-do list for days. Do they have a spreadsheet for their spreadsheets?
Probably. And it's partly their ruling planet, Mercury. Sharp minds, analytical thinking, that's Mercury's influence.
Okay, that tracks. Mercury, communication, intellect, right?
Yeah.
But how's it different for a Virgo versus, say, a Gemini who's also ruled by Mercury?
Good question. Both have it, but express it differently. Geminis are adaptable, flitting between ideas, people. Virgos, they use Mercury's energy for analysis, for organizing, for figuring out how things work.
So less social butterfly, more like meticulous researcher, digging deep into one thing.
Totally. Information is their thing, making sense of the world. Makes sense. They're drawn to careers that need that, like science, medicine.
Okay, so hardworking, analytical, detail-oriented. But does that mean they're all work and no play? Because that's a bit intense, even for a Virgo.
That's a misconception. Yes, they work hard, they're dedicated, but they're also incredibly nurturing, especially to loved ones. They just might not show it in the most obvious way.
Right, it's not always grand gestures, more like the little things, the thoughtful actions. I see you, but in a practical way.
Precisely. They might not be the most verbally expressive, but their actions, they speak volumes, they'll remember your birthday, offer to help with a project, just being there when you need them.
Quiet strength, dependable. Makes for a good partner or friend. Okay, but every sign has its, downsides, Virgos included. So what are the challenges of all that meticulous energy? What's the potential downside?
Perfectionism as a potential weakness, along with overthinking, being overly critical, both of themselves and others, unfortunately.
Overthinking, yeah, classic Virgo. I know a few who could write the book on overanalyzing every little thing. What makes them prone to that, though?
It's that analytical mind again, wanting to do everything right, anticipating every outcome. Problem is, they can get stuck in their heads, second-guessing constantly, feeling paralyzed.
Stuck in a loop, replaying conversations, searching for the perfect solution that might not even exist. Oof, I can feel the anxiety already.
And it bleeds into relationships, too. They want to help, to improve things, but it comes off as critical, judgmental, even if they don't mean it that way.
It's like they can't not see the flaws, and then that urge to fix things, it just takes over. Good intentions, but
yeah,
yikes.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, constructive criticism versus accepting things as they are.
And realizing not everyone wants to be fixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes just listen, empathize, no to-do list needed.
Which, for Virgos, can be a struggle. Their love language is acts of service, right? So their instinct is to do something. But sometimes the most loving thing is just to be there.
Different love languages, it always comes back to that. What one person hears as helpful, another hears as criticism.
You got it. And open communication is huge for them, especially with feelings. Vulnerability isn't always easy, so creating that safe space, to be honest, is key.
That foundation of trust again, right? Knowing it's okay to let your guard down, no judgment.
Exactly, because beneath that analytical exterior, heart of gold, loyal, loving, compassionate.
Okay, there's got to be more to them than we see, right? What about those hidden depths?
Oh, always more to uncover. Like, did you know Virgos are often drawn to creativity, despite their logical minds?
Wait, really? Now that's interesting. Didn't expect that, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That analytical mind could bring a cool perspective to being creative.
Exactly. They see things differently, noticing details others miss. And that translates to art, whether it's painting, writing, whatever.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Speaking of unexpected.
Oh yeah, Virgos and their healthy lifestyles. Always on top of the latest trends, smoothies, meditations, the whole 9 yards. What's with that, though?
It's that meticulous nature again. Self-improvement is huge for them. Their bodies are vessels to be taken care of. Nutrition, fitness, all that self-care stuff, it's just natural to them.
Let me guess, food journals. Perfectly planned workouts. Am I close?
Probably. But seriously, it's admirable. They know that feeling good physically impacts everything else.
Who wouldn't want a little Virgo dedication in their life, honestly? They've got the balanced lifestyle down pat.
Though it's important to remember balance is key there too. That meticulousness can tip into health anxiety, obsessing over perfection.
That fine line between healthy habits and those habits taking over your life.
Yeah.
Balance in all things Virgo, it seems.
It really does seem that way.
We talked about loyalty, dedication, all that. But then it mentions this reluctance to, open up emotionally. Almost guarded, even with people they're close to. What's the deal with that?
It's not that they don't feel deeply. They do, probably even more intensely than some signs. It's more, they need time, reassurance. It's got to be safe before they let those walls down.
So less guarded, more cautious with their hearts. Makes sense, given how much trust matters to them.
Exactly. Think about it. They're thinkers, analyzers. They want to process everything, understand it fully. Especially emotions. It's sensitive stuff.
So patience is key when you're getting to know a Virgo. Got it.
What about how they communicate, though? Mercury ruled, right? Planet of communication, so they got to be good at it.
Oh, absolutely. Articulate, precise with language. They value clarity, directness too, not afraid to speak their mind, even if it rocks the boat a little.
No beating around the bush with a Virgo, huh?
Yeah.
Probably good at cutting through BS, getting to the point.
100%. Efficient, want things done right. But then that meticulousness, it can backfire. They get so focused on the details, they miss the big picture sometimes.
Yeah.
Or get stuck in the weeds, That whole perfect is the enemy of good thing. Got to remind themselves that sometimes good enough really is enough.
Learning process for them, for sure. Balancing that perfectionism with, letting go a little.
Speaking of balance, we talked about those compatible signs, the good, the bad, the it depends. But there's one we haven't touched on. Double the Virgos, double the fun, or double the trouble. What happens when two hyper-organized, detail-focused people try to make a life together?
Honestly, we can speculate a bit, knowing what we do.
All right, uncharted astrological territory. Love it. Virgo bliss or recipe for disaster?
I think. Potential for both.
Right.
The good, total understanding. They get the need for order, the routines, the planning. They appreciate each other's work ethic. Shared values, right down to wanting a tidy house.
It sounds very coordinated. Color-coded calendars, books alphabetized. Not a thing out of place. My anxiety's soothed just thinking about it.
Right. But that's also the problem, potentially. That perfectionism, the overthinking, doubled. They could send each other into a spiral, constantly second-guessing, overanalyzing every tiny decision.
Oh, no. A never-ending feedback loop of overthinking. Exhausting.
Right. Especially if they don't create space for, just chilling out. And the emotions thing. Two Virgos, both struggling to express openly. Recipe for feeling unheard, even if they care deeply.
So it's all about communication yet again.
Yeah.
Plus a healthy dose of it's okay to relax,
100%. Finding that middle ground between the order they crave and emotional needs, spontaneity, all that.
Because at the end of the day, astrology isn't about rigid rules or predicting the future. It's just a way to understand ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Different personality types, how they interact.
Exactly. Tool for self-discovery, for building relationships that are actually fulfilling.
Even if those relationships are messy sometimes, surprising. Just like real life,
Exactly. That's what makes it so interesting to explore.
Speaking of, there's this other side of Virgos we haven't really touched on. Their capacity for empathy. Really making others feel seen, appreciated.
That does tend to get overshadowed, but it's a huge part of who they are.
It seems at odds with the whole critical thing, though. How can they be both? That's opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
It's that analytical mind again. They're not just seeing flaws. They're picking up on the nuances of you. What makes you tick? What matters to you?
So less about grand gestures, more about those little things. Acts of service, remembering details, stuff like that.
Exactly. Might not hear I love you 20 times a day, but they'll remember your coffee order, that book you mentioned.
That's kind of adorable. Love language, acts of service, with a dash of mind reading. They pay attention, even if you don't spell it out for them.
Exactly. Which just goes to show there's always more beneath the surface, whether we're talking Virgos or any sign, really.
Okay, I'm seeing Virgos in a whole new light. It's like they're those gifts wrapped up all fancy. Got to get through the layers to appreciate what's inside.
What a perfect way to put it. And speaking of hidden gems, get this. Despite being all about routine, stability, Virgos have a hidden adventurous side.
Wait, hold on. Adventurous? Virgos. Are we sure we're talking about the same sign? I'm going to need you to unpack that one because that goes against everything we think we know about them.
I know, right? Totally unexpected. They're all about stability, routine, day-to-day stuff. But there's also this underlying curiosity about the world.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Mercury ruling them in all, communication, knowledge. They love to learn. So wanting to experience new things kind of tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that leads them down some interesting paths, new cultures, trying things they never have before, even if it means getting a little uncomfortable.
So not like, let's book a last-minute flight to Vegas. More like planned out, thought-through adventures.
Exactly. Think research backpacking trip through Europe, not impulsive bungee jumping. They want to see it all, but on their own terms, feeling prepared.
Right, got to have that sense of control. Still, it's kind of cool to know that's in there. Add some spice to the Virgo image.
Totally. They're full of surprises, these Virgos. That
Yeah.
balance between the analytical mind and this, like, adventurous heart. It's the duality, you know? They defy easy categorization, which is cool.
It's like they're not just an earth sign, right? They got that Mercury energy, too. Practical but thoughtful, stability and new experiences. It's like they're reminding us we don't have to be one thing or the other.
Yes. And honestly, that's what astrology is all about, right? Not boxes, not stereotypes, just recognizing what makes each sign unique, understanding each other better, ourselves better.
And maybe realizing we had it wrong even about ourselves, you know?
All the time.
Yeah.
We're all works in progress, constantly evolving. And astrology, it's just a tool to help with that.
Well said. So, on that note of self-discovery, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Virgo.
Thanks for sending us on this journey. It's been enlightening for sure.
It really has. Virgos, man. More than meets the eye, that's for sure. To everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking those astrology questions, and until next time, keep looking up at the stars.